Welcome back. Last week, Governor Roy Cooper signed into law to continue testing sexual assault kits in the state to help the backlog that was there. Joining us for more on that and other issues, State Attorney General Josh Stein. So busy out there in his world. He joins us again today. Good to see you.
Tim, pleasure always.
All right, let's start with that.
Yes.
The bill was signed last week. For those that, there's a few things going on in politics. What's the gist of what happened with that?
This is a major advance in criminal justice in North Carolina. Since I've been in office, we've been pushing this issue. We did a count. The legislature ordered local law enforcement to do a count in 2017. That's when we discovered there were more untested sexual assault kits in North Carolina than any state in the country. That is absolutely unacceptable because each of these approximately 15,000 kits comes from a human being who was violated in the most awful, traumatic, personal way. And we owe it to them to find out who did it so that they get justice and we can put bad guys behind bars so they can't hurt anybody else. And so we tried to get money in the legislature in 2018. We're not successful, so we raised $3 million in grant funds. We've actually started outsourcing. But I want to thank the legislature. I want to thank Governor Cooper because the Survivor Act is a major step forward. We will eliminate the backlog once and for all, and we'll make sure it never happens again in North Carolina.
So when do you think this backlog can be gone?
I'm hoping in about 3 years. There is a capacity issue with all the private labs where we're going to outsource these kits to. North Carolina is not the only one that's struggling with this issue, although we have more than any other state. But other states and cities are doing the exact same thing. So there's only so many they can do at one time. We're in negotiations for them to try to increase their capacity, but just it's a matter of math. How fast can we turn them around? We are going to push as fast as we can.
So you mentioned the session where the money didn't get there. There was a sort of a blame game thing going on. Do you think, is that all in the past?
Yeah, it is all in the past. And so I do want to compliment the legislature for stepping up on this issue, and I want to thank the governor for signing it. So, yeah, I don't want to get into how we got into this point.
I agree. I just want to, you know.
Let's identify a real public safety issue which we can, with minimal resources, identify and put behind bars exceedingly violent people. Many rapists are serial offenders. And so if we can get the top 10% of rapists, we can drive the sexual assault rate in North Carolina down. That's what I want to do. I want to keep people safe.
One thing we've seen, we've had you a couple times, with all this new testing out there, there's cases that are decades old that are getting solved as well.
Just last week, Winston-Salem solved a 26-year-old rape. We've been working with them to outsource the kit. They identified the perpetrator, the person they've arrested, has not been convicted yet, but has been arrested. 71-year-old was in jail getting ready to be released on an unrelated claim. Now they're under a $1 billion bond, and hopefully we'll see what the evidence shows, but we're confident that we're going to keep people safer in Winston-Salem and the entire state of North Carolina.
What's going to prevent this from happening again? You said there's new things in place.
So what we want to do is take out the discretion, the decision-making that law enforcement was doing on a case-by-case basis that led them to think, I will put this kit on the shelf and I won't send it to a lab. So that what the law requires is that every time a local law enforcement agency receives a kit from a reported sexual assault, they will automatically send it to a lab within 45 days for analysis. And what that will do is make sure that once we get all caught up and eliminate the backlog, that on a going forward basis, every time there's a kit, it just gets sent to the lab. That way, it gets taken care of.
It's always funny to me how these things just sound so simple. Like, oh, we should have been doing that forever, but it's that way in all forms of government.
We didn't have a tracking system.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how many kits there were, where they were. You can track your pizza delivery. You can track your UPS shipment. You should be able to know if you're the victim of a sexual assault, where is my kit in the process? We instituted that last October. Simple thing to do. We got it for free from the state of Idaho. But it's going to make the criminal justice system work better, and that's what it's all about.
All right, flipping topics completely, but also a big problem, opioids. Tell us a little about this going after this family. This is not just North Carolina, but it's sort of convoluted and complicated in some ways.
So the opioid epidemic, as everyone knows, is absolutely devastating. We're losing about 5 North Carolinians every day to an opioid overdose on average. It's driving down the life expectancy rate in the United States. 3 years in a row, we've had a declining life expectancy because of opioid overdoses. So it is a grave public health and public safety issue. I've made it a top priority. I'm helping to lead the national multi-state of all 50 states. And Purdue Pharma is one of the 6 drug manufacturers, but they were one of the earliest and most aggressive in their marketing efforts. It is a privately held drug company. The Sackler family are the ones who owned it. For the last 10 years, they have known this day of reckoning was coming and have sucked out billions of dollars, double-digit billions of dollars. And now Purdue is just a shell of a drug company. 2 weeks ago, they threw it into bankruptcy and said, whatever value you can get out of Purdue, it's yours. And we were prepared to put in a little money, but not that much money. And to me, it wasn't enough. To the majority of states, it wasn't enough. They contributed to this problem, and they need to be held accountable and put up meaningful resources to help us solve it.
Does the government have the ability, do you think, to go after that money? If it's obviously their private money.
Last Monday or last Tuesday, I sued 8 individual members of the Sackler family. I am going to do everything in my power. I'm going to chase them till the end to hold them accountable.
For those that you mentioned the rate going down, how do you view the efforts of this state and other states kind of to solve that problem, though? Because it seems to be getting a little bit better.
A little better. Look, it's like turning a battleship. You start turning it a long time before you start to see the progress. We have done hard work. 2017, we passed the STOP Act to reduce overprescribing. This whole year, we've been pushing a public education campaign called morepowerfulnc.org, chock full of useful information. We were trying to push hard to get more treatment available to people. That's why Medicaid expansion is so critically important. Partnering with law enforcement to understand that there's a difference between drug traffickers who need to be held seriously accountable and people who have addiction who need treatment. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and what we're seeing is the beginnings of improvement. We are nowhere near where we want to be. We have so much more work to do, but the trend is turning. Fewer people died last year from an opioid overdose than the previous year for the first time in 2 decades.
Well, we didn't get into this overnight. We're going to get out of it.